Welcome to the Monday Monologue, and today I want to talk about where the price of hi-fi is going and what I see in the future of where this hobby is going. And one of the things, you've probably seen some videos on this, I'm trying to do like an entry point 300B amp for folks that don't have a lot of money but want to hear what a direct heated tube sounds like in a good circuit with reasonably good parts. And that's kind of what we're doing here. But I see just crazy prices on some audiophile stuff. And I'm just wondering who these people are that can afford this stuff. I mean, none of the people in my circle of friends have $250,000 to spend on a DAC. And one of the recent issues of the Audiophile magazine, they had like, streamer of the year kind of a thing, and they had several of them that were in the $3,000 or $4,000 range, which is pushing the budget on a lot of people. And that's what I feel like is pretty high end. And then they had a couple of them that were at like $30,000, $25,000. And then the one they gave the award to was $250,000 for a streamer. And I'm thinking, good Lord. I mean, that's almost what my house is worth for a streamer. And I almost, it makes a little sense if it was like some speakers or maybe an amplifier or something that is going to be a long-term investment. But all that streaming technology changes so rapidly that thing's probably going to be obsolete in 5 years, and it's going to be worth $5,000. There's going to be so much money lost on that as far as being able to resell it. And I kind of assume things like that Singer reclocker or that Centaurus DAC, that those are just going to be junk in 5 years. It's kind of like a computer. You buy a laptop computer, in 5 years it's not going to be worth anything. And the same thing's true with like any of that kind of tech. And spend $250,000 on something that is in that kind of tech, internet, streaming, whatever realm, just seems crazy. And then I was talking with my friend that runs the local audio club, and Chuck is just a super nice guy, and he's got this really nice Studer tape deck. And when he brought it to the audio club, he was talking to the members, and somebody asked, what did that cost? And this was like a fully restored. Somebody went through and recapped it, and either replaced or lapped the heads, or made sure everything was all aligned and all the tensions on the tape and everything were set right, the clutches and all that. And I think he said he paid $10,000 for it. They were all like, ooh, wow, that's a lot of money. And I'm sure some of you are probably thinking the same thing. But then I see in some of these magazines or on the internet or some of these other YouTube channels doing reviews, people are buying $25,000 tone arms for a turntable. Not the just the tone arm. And I'm sure you can spend $25,000 or $30,000 for a phono cartridge that has a stylus that's going to wear out. And being it's a moving coil, you can't replace the stylus. And so then you got to either send it off and get it rebuilt, if anybody can even do it. And, some of these, that have these, ruby cantilevers and stuff, all it takes is somebody to like kind of mess up queuing up the album and break the cantilever, and then it's junk. And so, I thought I was spending a lot of money, spending $600 on that OC9 MXL that I bought, and then I bought that Koetsu cartridge, which I'm still trying to figure out. Just to me, it doesn't work with my setup right now. And I don't know if it's the table or whether it wants a different load. And I got anyway, but that was like $1,800 for a used one, and that was going out on a limb for me. And yeah, the prices that this stuff is floating into, and what's weird is when you talk to people in the industry, that's the end of the market that's doing good. The folks that are doing like this stuff, like me, people think it's too expensive. And I don't want to like make the same product and just price it more to try to get into that market. That's wrong too. And a lot of folks, I feel like, just do that. Is they go into that super high-end market, and when you look at their products, they're just not very high quality. And they're using cheap parts to build them with. I mean, I see a lot of tube amps out there that are going for $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and they've got output transformers like this, or they're smaller than this, and they're like inside the chassis, and they're selling them for $5,000 or $6,000, and it's like, and those are $75 output transformers, and they'll try to pitch it as, oh, it's got some, elven steel laminations with some sort of cosmic charged wire, and just crazy talk. And people buy them. People are lined up to buy some of those products. And so, yeah, some of this audiophile stuff is, especially the marketing and what people see as valuable or worth buying, just baffles me. And another interesting thing is, over the years, I've reviewed some products that I wasn't crazy about, and, at the time, there was just all these fanboy haters just lit me on fire. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can handle that. And now, a few of them have come back and said, yeah, I finally bought one of those, and yeah, it's just like what you said. I'm trying to warn you that, and some of these things are like super niche products that if you're not in that small little niche of what they're built to do, you're not going to like it. And I warn people about the stuff I sell. That's why, I rarely will sell something. Probably the only thing that I would sell somebody without having a phone conversation with them is a phono stage. And even then, I like to talk to them about, like, what's the impedance of what you're trying to drive. If it's some 5K ohm thing, it's not going to sound good. If it's one of those new Class D module things that is super low input impedance, that tube preamp ain't going to drive it and not distort. And so, I just wonder where, I don't know. I just don't know where this is going. And it may end up being that as the market's shrinking, the prices just go up on everything for people to survive. Anyway, I'm happy that a lot of you guys have built my DIY plans, and I get, for the most part, people say they really, really, really think they sound good, especially this 300B circuit that I came up with. I think it sounds really good too. And I'm really digging that 2A3 tube. And I think I want to do more with that in the future. Possibly try even a push-pull 2A3. I'm worried that it's going to lose the second harmonic kind of magic that the single-ended one has. But only way you find out is try it. And that seems like kind of a simple enough, tube to work with that it might be a good thing to try. So, anyway, that's just kind of my observation on this stuff. I am making plans to go to Expono this year. And I tried to go. I went to the show on audio and had like a medical emergency, which was just it was not fun. I ended up going to the emergency room after being at the event for about an hour and a half. Something happened. It's like, whoa, I got to go to the ER. And ended up just coming back home to Atlanta from Florida after the hospital trip. So I'm planning on going back to the Tampa show next year too, but Expona should be a very eye-opening event. And I've never been, well, like I said, short visit to the one in Tampa, but never been to one of these giant events. And I know there was just one up in the New England area that some friends went to and said it was really good. So it's going to be interesting to see like what's going on in that world with, you know, these $250,000 systems and see what they sound like and kind of see where the market's going, whether people are getting all still excited about vinyl, you know, whether it's all switching to streaming. It feels like, from what I'm seeing, that there's more tube gear than there has been in a while. And obviously, I think that's good. But I know there's a lot of these guys that are doing like these, you know, HyperX module kind of a thing, super high power, because there's folks out there that are convinced they need a 300 watt amplifier. And hey, maybe they do. Maybe there's something I'm not understanding. But I definitely want to see too where the speaker market is, and if there's any, you know, higher, you know, 87 to 90 dB efficiency speakers that would work with my, you know, 300B and even that 5 watt 2A3 amp and sound good, and look at what's going on in that realm too. So anyway, I think I'm going to keep this week a little shorter. Leave in the comments what you think about all this super high priced audio gear, and if some of y'all own it, what you think of it. You know, is there, I mean, it's hard to get an honest review from someone that's dumped that much money into something. Anyway, gonna have a lively discussion in the comments about this. This is kind of a hot topic, I think. But hey, that's part of this hobby. It seems like there's like the super, you know, sci-fi kind of low-end chip amp class D, you know, market that's people, when you tell somebody it needs, you know, hey, why don't you go buy a couple of, you know, $75 op amps? They're like, ooh, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, okay. And then there's other people that will drop $75,000 on a pair of speakers. So I don't know. It just seems weird that there's not more kind of mid-tier stuff that people are interested in. So anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Thanks to all you Patreon supporters. We went past 21K subs. Let's keep that rolling. We're trying to hit 30K subs, you know, maybe even 40K next year. Anyway, thanks all you guys for watching. And as always, have a nice week. We will see you for the Monday Monologue.